These two are prank shows. The only difference between the two is about 80 years, and the genre traversing from the good old US of A into the Middle East. How did a genre that initially started with harmless pranks like a grocery cart turning left end up escalating into a genre where actors ended up being pranked with fake terrorist attacks? What? Get ready for a dark ride into the history of prank shows. So how the hell did prank shows end up getting started? Great question.
This video contains the discussion of real-world events and media for educational analysis. It does not promote violence or harmful behavior. All content is presented for commentary, critique, and historical examination.
Let's start. Candid Camera was the very first prank show to ever air on TV. It originally started off as a radio show. Back in the day when everything used to be like Bird Box, you know, people couldn't see anything, so they just listened.
There's a man holding a baseball bat. Anytime the man goes to hit a ball with the baseball bat, the bat becomes soggy.
What a wacky prank. It aired on CBS and caught unaware members of the public in unexpected situations. The show was created by Alan Funt and is regarded as one of the earliest reality TV programs, and is the precursor for modern-day prank reality genres. This show literally created everything from scare tactics to punked, which we'll get to later, so hold on tight. Candid Camera featured really funny pranks like shopping cart that only turns left.
This is a cart that goes to the left.
And shopping cart that only turns right.
Now you see this lady has the right-handed cart.
Ooh, we're getting crazy now. It also had uncute baby photos where they make fun of and laugh at babies born with deformities.
What do you think?
He's nice.
What's funnier than a baby whose mother did meth? Not that much, according to the 1940s. And famous crowd pleaser, Split Car, where you'll never guess the premise.
Watch.
Believe it or not, they split a car in half right through a police officer, which is pretty gangster. They're probably out here like,
Fuck you, pigs. We be repping Candid Camera.
that's probably what they were out here saying back in the day. You know, those white gangs, 1940 ass. This show would end up becoming highly successful, having multiple iterations from 1948 all the way up to 2014. During this long span of time, the Middle East would be looking over at the US for prank show guidance. Who would have thunk it? I thought they hated us. That's not true. They think we're hilarious. And in 1973, an Algerian version of Candid Camera would end up coming about, titled I Camera, I Kafia, which was hosted by Alhaj Rajim. There's gonna be a lot of Middle Eastern words here that I might mispronounce. I'm sorry, I'm not Middle Eastern. But the show would have some minor success. It would really take off in 1983 under its new host, Fawad El Mohandes. The show was identical to Candid Camera, except for the change of setting, which is in the Middle East. That's a pretty big change. 1993 is when the show would expand even wider under actor Ibrahim Nazir. He took over the show and turned to a family favorite in Egypt along with other Middle Eastern countries. The show would end up being almost identical to Candid Camera in that it featured candid pranks.
Came like this from the street, wearing it like this. Fashion.
But then would move to a more character-centric approach with Nazir. Loved it, dude. They were like, ha 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 ha, this guy's crazy. What's he doing? Why is he so wacky? Nazir would cross-dress as a crazy neurotic lady named Zakia Zakaria that'd wreak havoc amongst the common folk of the Middle East. And I will now do the same as Elisa.
Who are you?
This would form a start of character-driven prank series in the Middle East rather than prank-focused prank series, which there were still pranks. But you know, there was just like a wacky guy behind them. The show would become so large that it would begin to air in Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Syria, all on top of Egypt. That's a lot of places, which is a lot of money. Mazen Hayek, a media consultant in Dubai, said that in many ways, people were tuning in to watch the comics and their skills and not the reaction of the audience. And this made these shows a great showcase for them.
Kinda like why you watch me, for my hilarious antics. What am I doing outside?
As this character-centric approach began to take over the Middle East, things were changing in the United States of America. Yeehaw! There were character-centric prank shows in America like Jackass, which I talk about in another video you should watch after this. Subscribe. Crazy, my channel's crazy. But prank shows in America were also beginning to shift and change and get a little crazier, a little more exciting, a little more violent, a little more fear-inducing. Prank shows in the US would start to become more elaborate and feature celebrities, which was popularized by the show Punked. Punked was supposed to be done on random people. The show was initially called Harassment. Well, the name of that show did not age well for Ashton Kutcher, who defended his good old pal Danny Masterson, who's in jail for
30 years to life in prison after being convicted of 2 women.
Little more than harassment. In 2002, the show Harassment and MTV would be sued when they placed a fake dead body in a hotel room of James Ryan and Lori Ann Ryan, who were not having it. Imagine just showing up to your hotel room and there's a dead body and you're like, and the cameramen pop up and they're like, we're kidding. No one was actually murdered here. Why are you scared? I'd watch it. So after moving on from civilians, Ashton Kutcher would move on to the one type of person that wouldn't sue an actor. Other actors. Genius. Like Hugh Jackman, who they convinced had set an entire neighborhood on fire.
Not only that, I've got houses burning on the other side and on the back side too.
Prank. They also got Kanye West angry. Who's more representative of how mentally ill the United States is than Kanye West? Come on. You're gonna prank that guy?
More concerned about
things about Hitler also.
And that
They made Kanye West think that his camera film was being taken. This made a little fight break out between the paid actors and Kanye's crew. One of the paid actors jumped onto Kanye West's van and actually started getting driven off and pulled away, but right before jumping off and saving his own life. Some people are crazy, but hey, how do I become a paid actor on these shows? I'm trying to sue for $10 million, which is how much the harassment settlement was. Please, MTV, please prank me. Not long after the release of Punk, scare tactics would start to air. This is around the time where prank shows would stop being about laughing at people's confusion and begin to be about laughing at people's fear. It featured episodes like this one where a couple was tricked into believing they were going into a rave out in the desert. Only for the car to get stranded out in the desert, aliens begin to appear, and the guy driving the car begin to get attacked by an alien. Whoa, alien attacks. Crazy. The boyfriend literally jumps out this car and leaves his girlfriend all alone. This is like, what? The boyfriend of the year. To be on his side, they're probably on drugs. If they were going to a desert rave, like, what? Aliens start popping up. He starts freaking out, doesn't know if he's tripping, if it's real. Acid starts hitting. You know? There's also famous episodes like the one where a dude thinks he's babysitting a little girl, but instead ends up being haunted by a ghost of her dead sister.
Oh my God, oh my God, please come home.
And then has a full-blown panic attack. It's a little f***ed up, but it did make for one of the best pieces of television to ever be created. It was pretty funny. They also had an episode where they took a guy who was scared of video essays, wiped his mind, then had him read a video essay script only to give him back his memory and fear of video essays. What am I doing here? As the US prank scene began changing, the Middle East looked over at the US and began seeing dollar signs. Cha-ching, cha-ching. One thing that you probably didn't know if you weren't Middle Eastern is that Ramadan brings in a lot of viewership. And with that comes a lot of money for these Middle Eastern media moguls. And lo and behold, prank shows are their biggest money makers. As prank shows in the US began to get a lot more extreme, a comedian by the name of Ramiz Galal would come into the Middle Eastern prank scene. Originally, Galal created a series titled Ramiz Hal Al-Alam, which is translated to Ramiz Around the World. So happy, it's like Anthony Bourdain with a Middle Eastern dude, but he's not eating food. But you know, travel. It was a character-driven show where Ramiz Galal would travel around the world and say wacky jokes. Like this one when he visited the US.
This is the changer for CCD, right?
Yeah. Yes! Yes! What a zany guy. Ooh, I'm crazy. How do you plan this? At first, Galal's show would be like any other character-driven prank show. But after going to the US, he got inspired by a little show named Punk'd. So he'd go on to make another Ramadan show called Ramiz Qaib-i-Adad, translated to Ramiz Heart of a Lion. In this show, he would trick celebrities into coming onto his talk show and would have them face death-defying experiences. In one of the episodes, he traps a celebrity in the elevator, and anytime the elevator door opens, a lion appears on the other side of the elevator door. It scares the living shit out of the celebrity, dude. It's hilarious. Look at him. Look how scared he is. Oh, mom, help me. I would be freaked out. This format would begin to rake in huge viewership, and this would be the beginning of shows in the Middle East beginning to push the extreme prank show boundary. Shows like Urgent Landing would begin to appear. Urgent Landing was when they placed celebrities in a plane and made them think that they were gonna be in a plane crash. Yes, 30 celebrities, all thinking they were gonna die on one plane. actually in the sky, flown by a professional aerial maneuverist. Insanely hilarious, probably extremely traumatic. The pranks were beginning to teeter on the edge of fear, safety, and humor. But ratings only got higher and higher with more Middle Eastern viewers tuning in each year. Competitors during the Ramadan season were beginning to try anything to keep up with the high ratings of these extreme Ramadan prank shows. It was awesome. I mean, sad and scary. Who could ever do such a thing? This led to a wave of the most extreme prank shows to have ever been pulled off. Terrorist attack prank shows. During the same network era that created Urgent Landing, actor Waji Sakir would be held at gunpoint, blindfolded, and kidnapped for 7 hours. But this would be no regular kidnapping, no. This would be one giant elaborate prank. So goofy. What this would be is the ultimate prank show named Hadi Al-Bak. If I ever get kidnapped, I'm gonna have so much hope it's a prank show. I'm gonna be like, Ashton Kutcher? No? Someone younger? Tom Holland? Is it a Middle Eastern prank show? Someone's gonna punk me? Waji Sakir was so traumatized by this prank that it didn't air for 2 years. Imagine being a network, seeing this prank and be like, we should do that. That's a hilarious idea. Well, that's kind of what the Algerians did with Camera Cache and this super hilarious prank show. They took unsuspecting soccer player Majid Bougera hostage at a restaurant, blindfolded him, then drove him out into the desert and pretended like they were gonna execute him. And in a super funny reveal, they don't execute him. What the dude? So funny. Why don't we got prank shows like that where we just pretend like we're gonna kill people? It's the best.
Do you think I'm pretty? Yeah?
All of these are small river fish terrorist pranks, you know, compared to Galal's giant ocean fish of a terrorist prank. In Ramiz Talab El Sahra, or in English, Ramiz Desert Fox, which was released in 2012, you know, end of the world, years before the 2 other copycats. Fakers, dude. Galal would start this whole terrorist debacle with the most spectacular terrorist prank to have ever been pulled off. Hassan Husni, a famous Egyptian actor, thought he was going to the Red Sea to promote tourism in Egypt. He ends up on a bus surrounded by actors who are in on the prank and is the only one who thinks that he's about to be in a real terrorist attack. Galal pulls out a bazooka, pretends to blow up the bus with a very real explosion. Then one of the fake terrorists gets on the bus and realistically fake kills somebody. This is real. I keep saying this in all my videos, but this is real. All while Hassan Husni has a panic attack in the corner. So funny, so cute. Not traumatizing whatsoever. Just straight comedy. All the way through. Like, holy this is insane. But you can't deny it's also probably one of the funniest things to have ever been on television. Okay, like, am I just a horrible person for thinking this? Because this is pretty funny, but also very mean. I hope Hassan Husni's mental health is good. As the future of Middle Eastern prank shows continued to gain popularity, different boundaries would begin to get pushed. By 2020, the shows would start to place contestants under extreme humiliation, all in the hopes that it could get ratings as high as other Middle Eastern prank shows. Anawa Raji, or Me and My Husband in English, had financially struggling male contestants unknowingly compete for a rich wife in a variety show. This show's premise is straight up, you're poor. What a loser. What a great premise. Holy shit, dude, that's some evil. I don't even know. That's up anywhere in the world, right? Probably. The show is supposed to span 30 episodes, but only ended up airing 1 episode due to backlash. The show was accused of being misogynistic and exploiting the poor. This made host Mohammed bin Yahya have to come out and say, I ask for forgiveness of all Algerians, big and small. Doesn't care about the poor, doesn't care about medium-sized people. Honestly though, Algeria is a lot more progressive than I would have ever thought before making this video. I'm starting to realize I know nothing of other people's cultures. Like, I didn't know they had misogyny there. I didn't know they had mental health centers there. Did you? Probably not, because you're American. We don't really care about things going on in the other nation, unless we're going to war. And we care about the war. There might be a little more nuance to the Middle East than I expected. This same year, they tried to take out our boy, the man who slowly but surely took over the title of Prank King of the Middle East, Ramiz Galal. In 2020, Ramiz Galal would release a show called Ramiz Majnoon Razmi, or Ramiz is officially insane in English. One episode would face a lot of backlash as it would have actress Ghada Adel go on the show and unknowingly get strapped into an electric chair, get her hair spray painted, and then get thrown around the air by an electric arm. For good old family entertainment, this is the greatest show ever, please. Please don't let me die, I'm having so much fun. That's literally how all of the actors in the show, that was their life. The Egyptian media syndicate would try to get rid of the show and be like, this is up. But it was completely unable to because the show was made by NBC Egypt, which is a satellite channel operating out of the UAE. It has nothing to do with Egypt, so they can't touch them. We don't want you in here. Get out of here. We want to laugh at people's misery, see them unknowingly get tortured, thrown into the air. Egypt's Abbasiyah Mental Health Hospital didn't take well to the show either. They put out a statement telling families to urge their children not to view this program due to its disturbing images. NBC Group spokesperson who we mentioned earlier, Mazen Hayek, said, "The first 2 days of Ramadan, we had 120 million views on social media. That's Facebook, YouTube, and Snapchat." He said, if you add to them the TV ratings, the viewer numbers on NBC's online streaming platform, Shahid, you get 200 million people watching Ramiz in the first 2 days. Hayek, on behalf of NBC Group, told anyone who didn't like the show, you don't like it? We respect you, so don't watch it. Burn. Mans basically said, you don't like it, use a don't watch. Pulled out an AK. Look the other way. Before I go into the insanity that this is all about to turn into, there might be questions you're dying to know answers to, like, why didn't any of these actors sue Galal? Well, one of the show's guests, Hassan Asiri, had this to say. I gotta tell you, the experience was difficult. Asiri also said that he would give the thumbs up to approve his appearance in the show 3 days after it was filmed. This was largely due to Galal's conduct outside of the filming of the show. Asiri told press, Ramiz is actually a kind, gentle, and respectful person. What he does on screen is a role. This is his job.
You got me here all the way from India to do this shit?
I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry.
I will explain everything.
Don't be sorry.
Okay, I will explain everything.
Get the hell out of here.
These would be some of the biggest L's in Middle Eastern censors trying to ruin everyone's Ramadan fun. I'm gonna host terrorist attacks. So what? So what? What you gonna do? Big media syndicates would win over the more fearful syndicates of government censors. And so what would the government do? You guessed it. They would copy the same format and bring back the most extreme prank format to ever be presented on television. We're back at the terrorist pranks, hell yeah. In 2021, Iraq would create the show called Tanab Razlan. The show was produced by Popular Mobilization Forces, a government-backed umbrella group of mostly Shiite militias, many backed by Iran, which fought alongside Iraqi security forces against IS. The show was made by Razlan Haddad and was also supposed to be a Ramadan prank show, but the show was nowhere near as well received as any of Galal's shows or any of the previous shows we've talked about. Probably because the government was involved, just saying. One of the episodes featured Iraqi actress Nezma Taneb. She's taken to a rural area outside of Baghdad to meet a family who she thinks was liberated from IS rule. Along the way, she's told at a mock checkpoint that the area they're about to enter is unsafe and was under attack by IS militia 3 hours earlier. Taneb is visibly concerned and asks to turn back, but is ignored. Nice, dude. This is hilarious. She is then brought inside a house where an explosion is heard and actors playing militants storm into the building with AK-47s. Taneb, who is at this point blindfolded, cries out, screams, and eventually faints as actors playing terrorists shoot blanks right by her. Actors playing Iraqi soldiers then burst into the scene to liberate her. If this isn't bad enough, Haddad's treatment of Taneb is pretty unchill. And by unchill, I mean absolutely terrible. The reception of the show was not good at all. People thought it was highly offensive and uncivilized. How could they think such a thing? This is the most civilized show I've ever seen in my life. This line is also one of the weirdest lines I think I've ever heard. She ain't no woman-ass, girl-ass, baby-ass lady. She's a strong, masculine, manly lady. Iraq's Communications and Media Commission canceled the prank show after viewers were outraged by the concept. Haddad was reportedly outraged by this, as he believed that the show had shown the heroism of Iraqi security forces. Wow, the super brave of these fake actors to rescue this woman from not a real threat. It's like here in America, if I wear a soldier outfit, I deserve respect because I'm dressed up as a soldier. I shouldn't need to like actually go into war. Stolen valor, more like stop being a baby and respect me. Terror, militants, explosions. To an American audience, these might not feel like pranks, but in parts of the Middle East, life has brushed up against those realities in ways that many of us will never experience. So what we might see as crossing the line can feel like performance to people from other cultures. And when that performance feels authentic, people laugh. But when it starts to feel forced or political, the people decide to pull it off the air. The prank escalation in the Middle East didn't happen because people were tired of misdirection humor or character-driven performances. It happened because the people decided that they liked and resonated more with what the genre was evolving into. And whenever the audience decided that the show or state had gone too far, unlike the Iraqi government who completely missed the mark, they immediately pulled those pieces off air. Thank you, have a nice day, goodbye, subscribe.